UNCUT actually started at UNC Chapel Hill by a guy named Luke Buxton and then also Alex Mazer. And what they really noticed, and Luke told me this in one of his classes that he had a bunch of student athletes in, they had like an assignment related to just some sort of social issue. And he noticed that all the student athletes were kind of talking about stereotypes for student athletes, just being looked on as like lazy or just, just athletes really. Or there was another one that talked about like gender pay gap and stuff in sports for women and men in professional sports. So he really noticed this and saw a problem with the perception of just, I guess, regular students at regular quote unquote at UNC, their perception on student athletes. And he felt that there needed to be a better connection between the two, and that student athletes could be seen as more than just, athletes, as human too. So he really started UNCUT. And since then it's spread all over the country. So there's, I guess, divisions or chapters, whatever you want to call it, at Virginia Tech. Obviously there's one at Duke, Miami, App State, Wisconsin, Southern California, all these places around the country, and Penn State actually is just starting theirs. So that's really exciting. But it came to Blacksburg in August 2020. I joined on as a freshman doing like marketing because they're looking for some people to help out with business and like the marketing side of things. So I was trying to help, get their word out on, social media, all that kind of stuff. And then I took over at the end of my freshman year because the three founders graduated. And that I kind of took over like the president role, the head of operations role. But really what we do, so we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and I registered us as a student organization last fall. We work to share the stories of student athletes at Virginia Tech, deeply personal and just vulnerable stories about who they are off the field, off the court, off the pitch, whatever it is. We really look to highlight the human side of athletes and just show their unfiltered, quote unquote, uncut stories. So we have all student members. We have a faculty advisor, Paul, who's actually a sports psychologist here at Virginia Tech. And the kinds of video projects we do, something we've really been focusing on are like mini documentary style things. We have a series called Uncut Corners that highlights one athlete per episode or per volume, just talking about their experiences just fighting through resiliency, adversity, kind of the whole not cutting corners mindset. We also just started a series called Real Talk. We did our first episode on disordered eating, where we had 5 athletes across 4 different sports discuss their struggles with disordered eating, and that was a really powerful piece. One of our most successful to date, just because it was so vulnerable. Those athletes were so brave for just sharing their stories, and it got seen and reshared by accounts called The Hidden Opponent and Morgan's Message, which are also big accounts within the student athlete mental health space. So that was really exciting to get that seen. But on the written side of things, we do a series called Off Pitch, where we have student athletes write their own stories, which they have found, the ones we've talked to, they've found to be very cathartic, just kind of journaling out their experiences and just talking about whatever it is, like whether it's related to mental health, their passions, just who they are off the pitch. Just in terms of marketing, a lot of what we do is just via social media, like reaching out to the teams at Virginia Tech to see if they can reshare our stories, reaching out to like Morgan's Message, The Hidden Opponent, other organizations to try and see if they can reshare our content. Doing collaborative posts is really big with our student athletes, because oftentimes the student athletes have a bigger following than we do. So it's nice to get their followers to see what we're doing as well. And then we've also actually been working with Christina Daves from the Marketing Advisory Board. She's awesome. She's been helping us with some PR efforts, just getting our name out in the news. So we've been in contact with actually a producer from the ACC network, working on the WSLS. And we've gotten some stories in the Collegiate Times as well. So Christina's been very helpful in that aspect, just getting our name out there, just through publicity. As far as what I do specifically, I kind of just, as like the head of operations side of things, I just try to like keep things moving, give opportunities to our creative teams. So meeting with, like, reaching out to student information directors that represent athletes, or working with student athletes that reach out to us and getting them into calls with me, just to figure out a little bit more about their story, what they kind of want to share, and then putting them through to our video team, our writing team, to see, well, to actually get their story going. And then we have people to handle the social side of things and the content releases. But I'm there kind of controlling, moving things around, making sure our teams are intact, working cross-functionally. That's really what I'm doing. I have such a talented team around me. Like, I could not do it without them, because I cannot touch a camera. Like, I don't know what to do with the camera. So that's all them. That's not me. Uncut as a whole, I see growing just throughout the country, just being introduced to new colleges and universities. We've had like colleges and universities reach out to us, people interested in starting their own Uncut for their school, which is really exciting. So hope to just continue to do that. We have like a group chat with all like the presidents and founders and stuff, just to manage the brand of Uncut nationally, and just stay in contact and share advice and stuff. Once my time starts to come in, as I get into my senior year, although I'll be there as a resource, to give them advice whenever they need and help control, will help guide the mission of Uncut however I can. Just putting them in a position where they can take it on and lead and do what the past founder, Evan McNally, did for me. Just be that resource. I don't think anyone on this team wants to see Uncut Blacksburg die out. And I really believe in the mission and just want it to continue. For students trying to like start their own organization or have that idea, I just say take the risk. For me, when Evan asked me to kind of take over at the end of my freshman year, that was a very scary thought. Just as ending my freshman year, going into sophomore year, I was like, I'm too young for this. There's no way I can do it. But just kind of reflecting and saying this is definitely gonna be a challenge and I'm gonna make mistakes. And just kind of being like accepting of that fact that, I'm not gonna be perfect, but I'm gonna learn. That was really important. There's so many resources at Virginia Tech for people who are starting student organizations, and I learned that really quickly. You go through a whole training process with the people who work with student organizations, and even once you are finally registered, there's so many just resources and people to help. They host events all the time just for people who lead student organizations to network, to develop within leadership opportunities. Like, I went to a leadership summit earlier this semester, which was really helpful. Just in terms of like learning how to lead an organization. So that's been really helpful. And I would just say you don't have to have it all figured out. Just when you're looking to start it, you'll learn and you will develop as a leader. Just go ahead and do it. Do what you believe in, because once you're working towards something you're passionate about, it'll work out in the end. Go to our website, uncutblacksburg.com, look around, see all the stories we've done and social media, at Uncut Blacksburg on Twitter and Instagram, and see the kind of impact we're making. Follow us, just keep updated with what we're doing, because it's not just us, it's just seeing who these people are, who these student athletes that you go out and support when you watch a game, like on Saturdays or go to whatever game you like. You get to see who is behind that jersey. It really makes the whole viewing experience more fun when you're more connected to the athletes that you're watching and a little bit more about them. It makes it easier to root for them. They are looked on as some of the most physically elite and mentally tough people in the world, but our impact is really more than that, more than just the student athlete community. Whoever watches this, and hopefully the message we're getting out there is that it's important to be vulnerable. It's important to be authentic. Reach out to people when you need it, because you're never going through a struggle alone. There are people out there who have gone through similar struggles and can help you. You just have to take that step to reach out and be vulnerable.